morning, everyone. First, I would like to thank you for having me here, and I'd like to thank God for giving me a testimony so that I can be here and share with you guys. Because I do believe that someone might be in this congregation right now that's going through an addiction or knows someone that's going through an addiction, and I pray that my story will give them hope and understanding when you turn away from your sin and turn to God, that He keeps His promise and make us new. So, I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous, even though I've done this many times. But so if you couldn't tell from my accent yet that I was not born here, I wasn't. I was born over in Turkey. I was born to a Muslim family. And growing up, I had an older brother who is 8 years older than me. Me, my mom, and my brother, we all live together, have a really happy family. My father had his own businesses. My mom was a stay-home mom, taking care of me and my brother. Her cooking is probably, growing up, was one of my favorite thing. That's probably what I miss the most right now, even though I've been here 20 years now. Second favorite thing was playing soccer. In Turkey, soccer is the most important sport. Every kid, from the moment they start walking, they run after a ball till our families drag us in the house. It's a little different. In Turkey, we call soccer football. I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know why they do that, but something, you kick it with your feet and they call it a football. I think the football is the one, you play with your hands. That was a joke. Yeah, we do call it football though. So let's move November 29, 1998. Why am I specific about this day is that that day I did have a soccer game in a youth camp. Middle of the game, I've seen two of my uncles came to my game, which was a really strange thing because that never happened before. It's just a youth theme, it's tiny kids playing. So seeing my uncles talking to my coach was a little strange thing to see. And about a few minutes later, I saw that I was getting taken out of the game, which was also a strange thing because that never happens either. So I came to by my coach. My coach said that I was excused for the rest of the day. And we got in the car, we were driving home. Me being a kid, I was telling my uncles, how I scored before they got there, how I was playing. It was strange that they got me out of the game. My uncles weren't saying a thing to me. It was dead quiet in the car. It was just me doing all the talking. And when we were a little closer to our home, one of my uncles said, when you get home, give a big hug to your mother. I was like, okay. So we came from my house, and I've seen lots of family members, lots of family friends gathered from my house, and I didn't understand what was going on at the moment at first. And I got in the house, my mom was crying, she didn't say anything. And about 5 minutes later, my mother's cousin, she asked me to go in a room with her, and they told me that my father had passed away in a car accident early that morning. I was just 13 years old at the time. I started questioning God, why would this happen? And this was the first time I felt like I was really hating God and for letting that happen to me, because all my friends had their fathers. I had to watch my friends' fathers drop them off to school or the soccer practice, or going places with them, going to parks with them. And on the other hand, I was just trying to be strong for my mother, for myself, and for my brother who had developed a drinking problem after the death of my father. Let's move 7 years from that. I do have an uncle. He lives here in Pittsburgh. He was visiting Turkey in the summertime, and in a conversation he had told me it would be really nice for me to come to United States, work with him at the pizza shop that he owns. And to be honest, I didn't really want to move. All my friends, my mother was there, my brother. I was playing soccer, and at that time I had made it to pro. Story with that, I played professional for about 10 minutes, and then I got suspended for punching the ref for 2 years. So but I can say I made it to pro. So yeah, that was a bad call on my part, I guess. So then I applied for you know, to U.S. visa to come here, and I was accepted. I came here as a student, knowing zero word in English. I didn't even know what yes meant. So I went to Point Park English classes. I finished their English classes, and then I transferred to University of Pittsburgh, started taking English classes there as well, finished their classes. Then finally I transferred to La Roche College, where I finished their English classes, and I majored in criminal justice, but I never graduated. At this time, by the end of all these classes, I was able to take care of myself here. I learned English a little bit. I could go to the bank, do what I needed to do on my own. So life was getting better. I'm not gonna deny that fact. And we opened up a new pizza shop in 2012. That's where I met my now ex, my son's mother. We started going out, things started getting serious. And one afternoon, she called me. She said that she had taken a pregnancy test and then she was pregnant. And at that moment, I cannot describe the feelings that I had. I was so happy but nervous at the same time. I knew in my heart that I did want to have a family of my own. I did want to have a child. I did want to have a wife, a happy home. But growing up without a father, I really didn't know how to be a father or what to do when he was born. So in 2014, my son was born, and again, I was really happy, like watching her giving him birth was one of probably the most beautiful thing I have ever witnessed in my life. But again, I was really nervous. I just didn't know what to do when they get home. And of course, when they came home, about a year into it, we were arguing all the time because I didn't know what I was doing. She didn't know what she was doing. And this all led for her to say one day, I just don't want to do this anymore. And then she left with my son. And right around the same time, I had a soccer game here. I tore my ACL, MCL, and meniscus all at once. And I had to get surgery for it. And then I was prescribed pain medications. So I started taking the pain pills as prescribed, and it was feeling good, but then in a couple of days, 3, 4, 5 days, one wasn't enough. Then I started taking more, and then I realized if I do take more, not only I don't feel the pain that I was going through from the surgery, but I didn't feel the pain I was going through internally for being left alone in my house on my own. So I started to abuse the pills, started taking more. I would run out quick. Before the prescription day, I would go to a different doctor, try to get more prescription, lie to my doctor saying I lost it. And things eventually got worse. My addiction got out of control. It led me to use harder drugs, and I started destroying everything and everyone in my life. I started to do anything to get my next fix. I ran through all my possessions. I went through all my money. I started stealing from people. I started to steal from stores. I cheated people. I manipulated people around me so that they would feel bad about my situation and help me out, even though they think they were doing the right thing. But at the end of the day, they weren't. They were just supporting my addiction as well. And I believe at that point, not only I was hating God before, now I was hating Him more than ever I hated before. I felt like He didn't want to do anything with me. He just wanted me be in a constant pain, just go through what I go through and eventually die in the end. And I know my life, if I kept doing what I was doing, was going to end there. And I was okay with that because I knew addiction one day was going to kill me, and that was probably the coward way to go out. And but again, I was okay with it. Then realizing I didn't have family, I didn't have money, I started being in places that I never thought I would be. I witnessed things that I probably in a million years never thought I would witness. And again, I started doing everything to be in that lifestyle, because the more drugs I've done and more I made myself numb, that I didn't feel anything. I didn't care if I wasn't able to see my son. I didn't care if I didn't have money. I didn't care if I didn't have a home. I just didn't care about anything as long as I had my drugs. They were my best friends. And doing drugs, obviously, at the end, landed me in jail. And I called my uncle from the jail, who rightfully cut all ties in my addiction with me, was the only person who answered the phone and helped me while I was in jail. And then when I came out, my aunt gave me a call and she said, if you want your family back, you have to go to a rehab. I said, okay, and literally the next day I was at a rehab. It only took 4 days before I left without telling them, and then I called my uncle. I'm like, hey, can you send me money? I need to buy some stuff. He thought I wasn't still at rehab, but I was already gone. I was already in Pittsburgh. I was trying to get that money so I can go buy drugs. And to my surprise, the same day I did that, I was arrested again. And then I was once back in jail, sitting there all by myself, thinking about the things I've been done. Like there's sometimes like in your life you have this moment like you realize this is my rock bottom. Like, what am I doing? So all the drugs coming out of my system, about a month and a half I was in jail. They do have this program called, I believe it was alternative housing. So I requested that for nonviolent crimes, I believe they do that. Instead of sitting in jail, they are able to send you to rehabs or whatever it is that they do. So some lady came, they gave me an interview, and she told me that she could send me to this rehab called Pyramid. She's like, oh, they'll probably come get you in about 3 weeks, or you can go to Teen Challenge. Difference is Teen Challenge is all men. I said, okay, but they'll come get you probably tomorrow. I'm like, Teen Challenge it is then. But I was never told that it was a Christian facility. At that time, I used to smoke cigarettes. There was no smoking cigarettes. Everything was pretty much prohibited, but other than watching Christian TV and learning about Bible. That's what Teen Challenge was about. So they came pick me up. When I came there, the court only wanted me to do 28 days, which I've successfully finished, and I had no intentions of, I guess, stop doing drugs. I know that 28 days, they asked me if I wanted to stay a longer time, like do the whole year program. And it was funny, I told them, I'm like, I'm not joining a cult. You guys are like really strange, I'm not doing this. So I left. It took 12 days before I called them on my own, knowing it's a Christian place, knowing there was no smoking cigarettes, no females, it's just all men. I called them, I'm like, can I come back? I said, I cannot keep doing this. I want to stop doing drugs. So I came to Teen Challenge, and I had to do the short-term program, which is 28 days again, because I used from the day I left in the 12 days. I did the 28 days. They asked me again, hey, do you want to stay in long-term? I'm saying, yes, I will. I will stay long-term. So when you transfer to long-term, at that time, now it's a little different program, but at that time, it was Bible classes from 8 in the morning till 4 p.m. in the afternoon. And again, we weren't allowed to do a lot of things. It was just Christian faith program. The more I sat through those classes, the more things start to make sense to me as well. And then I started studying the Bible, and then I realized before I hadn't met the real God, the God I was worshiping was an idol when I was Muslim. So in July 9th, 2022, I gave my life to the Lord. I got baptized, and then I started studying the Word. I did Teen Challenge's whole one-year program, and at the end of it, they offered me if I wanted to stay as an intern. So I worked there as an intern for 6 months. And end of the 6 months, they offered me a staff position. I've been working with Teen Challenge for about 3 years now. As a staff member, I run the medical department and I oversee the intakes. Other than that, I am now a youth director at my church in Russellton called Forged in Faith. And I go to school. I'm going to college, major in psychology, so that I can understand what it is that, people like me that comes through the program, what they feel, what happens, why it happens, what happens, so I can learn all that. So the realization that I had, even when I didn't accept him yet, even when I didn't know him yet, when I rejected God, his love never went away. His love was always there. He was using all my failures, all the bad things that I've done in my life to draw me closer to him. Because if you think about it, we cost him so much for him to stop loving us, right? I wouldn't want to go to cross for you. I wouldn't want to be tortured. But he did, and he did for us. Do you remember the story in the Bible when Peter cut high priest's ear? Let's read Luke chapter 22. While he was speaking, a crowd came up, and the man who was called Judas, one of the 12, was leading them. He approached Jesus to kiss him, but Jesus asked him, "Judas, are you betraying the Son of Man with a kiss?" When Jesus' followers saw what was going to happen, they said, "Lord, should we strike them with our swords?" And one of them, that is Peter, struck the servant of the high priest, cutting off his right ear. But Jesus answered, "No more of this," and he touched the man's ear and healed him. So why did Jesus do this? I mean, this was the time he got arrested, right? He was going to the cross. He knew he was going to be killed. He didn't have to do no more miracles. He had accomplished his mission. He did this because what Peter did at that time was considered as a capital crime and would get him executed. But when Jesus healed that ear, he took away all the evidence that they could have used. There was no evidence that Peter ever done that. In the same way, when God looks down on us from heavenly place, he doesn't see any evidence that we ever sinned because we are covered under the blood of Jesus Christ. And